All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Horror Comedy Hangout podcast. My name's Chris, the independent filmmaker.
I'm Jess, the non-independent filmmaker.
Yes. And we're back for another episode. And oh my God, we have
Woohoo!
a great one for you today. We are talking to the very talented and creative Barry Anderson. You have to watch this episode all the way through because we're going to talk about his career that spanned 30 to 40 years. I don't want to date him at all, but it's been a good, great career. We're talking movies like Day of the Dead, Jeepers Creepers, Hairspray, and everything else that he has done in his career. So please stay tuned. All right, and welcome back to the Horror Comedy Hangout podcast. Like I said, my name's Chris. This is Jess. And on that hook, you found out that we have this very special person with us. We have Barry Anderson
Yay!
with us today. So welcome, Barry Anderson, to the podcast. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great, Chris and Jess. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Absolutely,
It's our
absolutely.
pleasure.
I was so thrilled and so happy that you said yes to come on this podcast because I've known you for a long time, and I even knew you before I even got to meet you, and you've just had such an amazing career. And I'm just taking us back. We'll go back all the way back to the 80s, but let's go back. I'm going to go back to
The 80s was a good year.
80. I love the 80s.
The 80s was
I
a
know
great
you do
year.
too. But I'm going to go back to early 2000s. I think that's where I met you, maybe on a movie called As Night Falls with Joe Davidson. Was that? I think you did my makeup.
Yeah, that's right.
You did my makeup.
That's
And
correct.
And I was so thrilled to have you on because I knew everything you had done in the industry. So that was an honor, sir, to have you do all my makeup.
That was a lot of
For the-
fun, actually, And again, small independent film, local here, and a bunch of just fun people getting together. And of course, I think I remember being really late at night doing some of this
was.
stuff, and it was cold.
It was because we're in Florida for everybody that doesn't know, and it was
It's Florida cold.
It was 40s.
Yeah, so
That's cold.
that fake blood starts getting really thick and syrupy, when it's that chill in the air. And yes, but yeah, that's right. It's funny because I'm starting to get there up in the air. I'm like, so many things. I go, all right, where did we? And I was thinking about Joe, and I see that he's been on the show as well. So
He has,
and
yes.
he's been doing some interesting stuff. So
Yes.
so many fun people. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of times, films that I've worked on, they might not turn out to be the greatest film, but the experience of working with the great people and a camaraderie that happens, and friendships that can last a long time. And yeah, we've known each other for quite a while, and I've been following you and what you've been up to
Okay.
through the years, and
Aw.
yeah.
And
So
and I think that's what we were talking before we came on.
Yeah.
About maybe the film didn't do as great as you wanted to, and then the critics hit it really hard. But you remember those friendships and the times you had, and you had so much fun doing it, whether it did great or not. It was just something that filled you, right?
You
It
build
just-
those lasting relationships with people, and hopefully you get to work again with them and on something, a different project. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Sure.
awesome.
and of course, again, yeah, when you get into a lot of films that I've been involved, I look back and go, gosh darn it, if we just would have did this or that, or, I always am very critical of my own,
Yes.
what my part of it is. But, of course,
Yeah.
filmmaking is team effort, and, so many things are involved with so many different people to make something happen. And, it takes a lot to get it all to work right. Of course, as
Right.
you know, Chris, being a filmmaker yourself, you can only do the best you can under the circumstances, and a lot of
Right.
times it's hard.
It is. It's hard. Filmmaking is very tough. It's a
It
very
is.
tough business.
Yeah. And it's interesting being like on your film sets and seeing everything behind the scenes, because me, just as the movie goer for all the years, you're like, oh, this is great. This was such a great film they did. But then now stepping on the other side of it, you're like, holy cow, this is exhausting. Like this is how much work and effort. And then when you think something's going to go completely right and it's all wrong and this is how you're going to fix it, it's incredible to see. So
It is.
I'm
Sure,
so
it's
glad
all,
I got to
it's all
step
very
on the other side.
glamorous.
Yes.
Unless you're out at 3 a.m. covered in fake blood and freezing your butt off. So.
Right. Uh, so I'm going to take us back even further. Let's go way back to the 80s. So you started.
Yeah. Woo.
I know. I grew up in the 80s. One of my favorite.
I was born in the 80s.
You were born in the 80s.
You know, I'm still kind of living in the 80s, but I just started to do the math, and I thought this is like when my grandparents used to talk to me about the 1930s. You know, I was like, holy crow, time has gone by. You know,
Yeah.
but the 80s were an incredible time, especially in horror movies. You know, for me, anyways, and I'm sure for you as well. You know, a lot of fun things.
Very influential for sure. But you started not in that. You started on maybe a little small show called Miami Vice.
Oh yeah, just tiny.
Wow.
Snippet.
It was one of my favorite shows back then in the day. So.
Oh, cool. Well, you saw me. I was a blurry guy walking around behind Tubbs and Crockett, you know. But yeah, what a crazy way to get my foot in the door of the business, huh?
Yeah.
That was like one of the hottest shows in the 80s too.
Who knew?
Who knew?
You know what's the weird part was that I just finished school. I went to college was not for me. I knew I wanted to be an artist. I went to art school, and that's how I ended up in Florida. I grew up in Western New York originally, but I ended up going down to Fort Lauderdale. There's an art school on the beach of all things. What a distraction! My goodness,
that's your type of thing.
But
yeah,
I found out about a film makeup school in Miami, and that by chance, amazing chance, because that's what I wanted to do. And I saw films were being made in South Florida. You know, I'd see a film crew on the road or something, and I'm like, that's what I want to do, you know. And my mom is the one that said, why don't you try out for some films, you know? As a kid, my heroes were voiceover actors in cartoons and stuff. So
that's awesome.
I used to impersonate cartoon characters to amuse my friends and things. So my mom thought I had the potential to be an actor, but you have to have a thick skin. I found out. So I went and took a little acting course, got an agent, and I started getting these phone calls. Now, I think when I was in art school, I decided to go into the wild 80s. I did the punk rock thing, and then I did a rockabilly look. And I had lots of friends in the music scene down there. I was silk screening T-shirts in South Florida for a lot of bands.
Gosh.
So,
that's cool.
But I saw that they were doing a casting for a new TV show. Now, I had tried out for a few other things, and it's, like I say, tough. You go in there and cold reading, and there's 10, 12 people sitting in the room, and they all look better looking than you and bigger muscles. But I did stand out a little bit, I think, because I turned in, I asked a girl from school, photography student, to take my picture because I didn't even have headshots. And I just had my normal rockabilly look going on, and I just tried to look like I was tough or whatever, and thinking maybe I could just get a little bit part as a bad guy or something.
Yeah.
Well, I sent that down to the casting directors, which was D. Miller from Casting Directors, and they called me, and somehow we didn't have cell phones back then, yeah. So somehow I actually answered a phone, and they asked me to come down and try out for this new show, which I knew nothing about. Nobody knew anything about. And who knew that it was going to be the hottest things from the 80s?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to
so awesome.
When we do films, you don't know which ones are going to take off. When you do stuff, right? You just don't know.
Of course. This funny thing is I just took it all in stride, and my mom was like, oh my God, do you know that this is the hottest thing on. Of course, I wasn't able to watch anything. I was busy working 12 hours a day, and at 23 years of age, I just was like, gosh, I can't even go out with my friends, but
I got to go do this TV show.
Yeah, I got to go. Darn it, I got to get up in the early morning and go down to Miami. But you know what? It was an amazing opportunity because, boy, what a way to learn about the industry. I mean, I spent
100%,
hours on
100%.
the set watching what everybody did and learned to find out that's the grip, that's the, the boom guy, the pyro people, the catering service. I was happy that they were feeding me because, I'm an art student. So,
free food is always a winner.
I thought so. I was like, and they feed me and it's good food.
This is great.
But yeah, it was really cool.
Sure. It's a great way. It's funny you say that because that was a great way. I did some stand-in work, and it's good to watch. You stand there and watch everybody do everything, and you just learn.
Like you just become a sponge.
Yeah,
you soak it all in, and yeah.
So
well,
that was a good experience for you.
Yeah, it was, and you are spending a lot of time there, but there were some great people there. I mean, I really got along with some of the people, and I kept in touch with Philip Michael Thomas afterwards.
Very cool.
And he came and visited my effects lab and brought
in
Dionne
Miami,
Warwick with him.
Wow.
And we hung out in my shop, and I took face casts off of them. And so, they treated me really nice, as for just a kid that just got out of school and didn't really know what I was doing. It was a really good experience, but I was invited to come back for the second season, and I turned it down, which my mom was very angry with me about. But, I didn't have ambition to be an actor. I had an ambition to be a special effects makeup artist, and that was what I wanted to do,
Oh, wow.
And that's why you were down there, right? At school down there for this. Wait,
Special
is that what you
effects.
wanted to do? Special effects?
Well, I knew
Originally?
since I was a kid, I was a monster kid from the night. They called
80s.
monster kids. I read the monster magazines. I built monster model kits. I watched every Friday and Saturday Chiller Theater or whatever the scary movies were, and I just had a passion for that. I was the oddball kid in the neighborhood, I guess. But so when I learned that monsters were made by makeup artists, I always had an interest in that. But I'm from a small town, and nobody took that seriously. When they said, "Well, what do you want to do?" So I did not even know about the makeup effects school till I was living down there, and I happened to be walking past a conversation, and I heard that somebody say something about this school that taught film makeup, and suddenly I stopped and was like, whoa. And as soon as I found out about the place, I jumped in my little Volkswagen Beetle, 1971 Volkswagen Beetle.
Wow, that's
Oh
cool.
my gosh.
That's so cool.
This reminds me of my mom literally had, sorry to interrupt, sidebar conversation. My mom had a Volkswagen Beetle, and she describes it the same exact way. I hopped in my little Volkswagen Beetle and all down the road I went. And I'm like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Back to what you're saying.
It was great when there was difficulty parking because you could park that thing anywhere. just about.
Anywhere.
But
Right.
yeah, I
Tiny.
flew down to North Miami and found this little shop, and it turned out to be a life changer for me. It just I
so
found my
incredible.
real purpose of what I really want to do, and I just decided when I moved to Florida, I said I was going to reinvent myself and push myself a little bit, and that's why I tried out with the acting and all these things.
Mhm.
But when I found out about the film school, the makeup school, I knew this is what I want to do. I had that passion, and therefore I just, even in my early 20s, I managed to do a lot of stuff, working in commercials and a lot of course, B films and independent films, and I just kept going, and I would say yes to almost anything that came my way, except there
Yeah.
was a couple people trying to make weird adult films, which I said no. But
Yeah,
other
no.
than that, earmuffs, kids.
I know, right?
But yeah, I just went for it.
That's awesome.
And so after you got out of school, did you go to you opened the shop? North
Eventually,
Miami?
Oh.
that didn't happen, and that was no easy task. And that's the thing people don't realize is the disappointments that go on in the production industry. You get
Yeah.
involved in a project and people are talking about this thing happening, and you got bills to pay, overhead, and and you think you're gonna actually the one I so I opened a shop up right around the corner from where Miami Vice was being filmed at the film studio, which was originally Ivan Torres film studio when they were involved
Hmm.
with Gentle Ben and Flipper
Oh wow, yeah.
and then after Vice, which I don't think the place had been used in a long time, and then Vice brought a lot of life back into the area.
Mm.
They changed the film studio to Grenwick Studios, and then they may have changed it again after that. I've seen, I've worked in there at that place a few different times. I worked on a Hulk Hogan movie at that location, and
Mm.
been over there many times through the years.
Right.
But yeah, I was thought I'd strategize and set up my shop close by. But every time I thought I had a big project, it just they all kind of fell flat. One was
Oh.
I did a pilot for a TV series. It was kind of a precursor to a Buffy thing where there was going to be
Uh,
werewolf cops and vampires and I thought my ship came sailing in.
You're like, this is it.
And I got a deposit down to buy materials and started to gear up for getting crew together
yeah.
and all these
Oh wow.
all these meetings and then one day I was supposed to pick up another check and I'm waiting and I'm trying to call and the phone just kept ringing. Nobody's answering the
Oh
phone.
no.
I drove down to the studio. They had an office at the studio. And of course, across from me, they were filming Ace Ventura. And I see animal wranglers and Dan Marino walking by. And, I get up to the office where I'm supposed to go. And there's like a cease and desist. There's
Oh,
like, it's like the whole thing's been shut down legally by
Oh
somebody.
no.
And I had to go home and tell my wife because I thought I was going to be getting a nice sizable check.
check.
Yeah.
I owe rent for my space. I owe rent in my home.
Oh.
Right.
We were struggling, and it was really hard to have to go home. I think it was already hard enough for me, but then I had to go home and tell my wife, guess what? And
Yeah.
we've had those conversations where she's like, can't you just get a normal job?
Oh.
And it's hard. You go
Yeah.
to. So, I had the shop for about 2 years or so. And then I finally, when things just kind of weren't, I wasn't going the way that I wanted to, life is full of difficulties. And I had to go, well, I'm going to have to just close it up and move
Yeah.
along. And, life, we make our decisions. But I think it wasn't somewhere along the line, I decided that of course we heard a lot of talk about Florida is going to be the next Hollywood, and I
Mhm.
hung in there for a long
Absolutely.
time, right? And
Wow.
then I started to hear a lot of stuff was going on in Central Florida, and I started, and I was getting calls when I lived in South Florida up
To come
from
up.
up here, going, "Hey, might need something from Superforce, Superboy." There was, I don't know, all kinds of different
Oh
the
my
Swamp
gosh.
Thing, and
Swamp Thing started. Yeah.
yeah,
Universal.
yeah, I got a
Yeah.
it's too bad. I think it was Tony Gardner and Chet Zar. They were working on that, and they wanted a creature suit that I had made. They wanted me to get involved with their one of their episodes,
Mm.
and they just didn't have the budget to pay me to make it worth my while. I'm like, all you gotta do is pay me to. I've already made the suit. I just need to adjust and change things up a little bit. But I try to work with it, but they end up just going, well, forget it, because I just want a gas money, a hotel room, and it's not that difficult,
No.
But I don't know, just
Yeah.
not to did some people, but it's a reality, And the
Yeah.
FX guys were disappointed, and
Oh.
I did end up later on working with Tony Gardner, but yeah, it was just I was like, man, what is going on? And then I move up here, and then everything seemed like it started to shut down up here, and all these studios, all the sound stages, and a lot of the films there might be a big name to it, but I was only on the project for a limited amount of time. I wasn't on set every day or something like that. I would do
Right.
some kind of a pre-production thing for it, or
Yeah.
go on for a couple days and then head out, do my thing.
Yeah. So it's good you bring that up. Because I wanted to talk about those because I don't want to jump over those because I think that's even though if you worked on them limited or not, I feel like they're very important
Mm-hmm.
projects you worked on. So like Day of the Dead for one, that's huge.
Is that where you came out of the ground?
No, that's As Night Falls with Joe, but
Oh,
Day of the Dead was even
darn it.
bigger with George A. Romero's film, which it's a huge
I
cult
don't think
classic.
I've seen that one.
No, I don't think you've seen it, but
No.
It's
I-
brutal. It is brutal.
Never mind.
Talk us about how was your experience with that?
Yeah, you know what is incredible experience. So I originally started going to art school in Pittsburgh, and
Oh.
when I was going there, the kids in the neighborhood, this was way back in the ancient times, in late 70s, I think, 1979. The kids in the neighborhood told me, "Hey, they just made a movie about zombies in the mall," And I was like, "Oh wow, I love that stuff," Where? Show me where, And I'm embarrassed to say I actually went to the mall looking for blood splatter or something, It's just, it's pathetic to say that, but anyways, truth.
Oh,
But
zombie
the thing
hunter.
was, I kind of became obsessed with this idea that these guys were making zombie movies, and I didn't know anything about them at the time. But right around that same time, Fangoria magazine just had come out,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden, Tom Savini, this guy who's
Huge.
and George Romero, I started learning about who these people are, but I had I wasn't involved in film or anything. I was just a new student. But I transferred down to Florida because my mom had moved down there, and I found out that there was a school associated with that I could move down there. So, but any case, dream comes true sometimes. So it's
Right.
incredible how that works out. A few years later, yeah, I end up working on Day of the Dead. So I had made good friends with a guy named Dean Gates, who was an instructor at the makeup school, and I assisted him on several things. And one day he just kind of called me up. He goes, "Hey, how would you like to work on a George Romero zombie movie?" I was like,
Oh my gosh.
"You're joking, right?" No, I'm serious. Tom Savini called me and he wants to have us work with him over in Fort Myers, Sanibel Island. Oh
Mm.
my gosh, this was I was
That's
a dream come true. It was
yeah.
unbelievable. Of course, I just wrapped up the first season of Miami Vice, and then I get this opportunity, which is why I never went back
Went
to
back.
Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing was incredible. Tom and the incredible crew of guys that he had working with him, they all were working in a cave for months outside of Pittsburgh,
Right.
and they get to come down to the sunny Florida. It was December 1984, and we all, let's see, Dean gathered up, I think 6 of us all in total from Florida, in South Florida, and we all most of us knew each other to some degree, and we headed on over to meet Tom and everybody, and
Cool.
So cool.
yeah, they put us up in a nice condo.
Oh.
Gave us a nice setup, and Dean he's an Emmy award-winning makeup guy that got involved. He ended up out in California and stuff. But Dean is the coolest guy, and he just made it all work out well with Tom, and we got to go over there, and we got together and went out and had dinners. We went and saw the movie Dune in the middle of filming.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
we had quite a camaraderie, and some drinks were poured and stuff. But when it came to the work, we got up early in the morning and headed on location. And we would do large quantities of these. So they would have background zombies. We just, each one of us would get a certain amount of people that you had to kind of do for the background. Then we have middle ground zombies, which would have a little more texture and little. And then we were all assigned a certain number of close-up zombies to work on. And and we had to take Polaroids for continuity back in those days to recreate those looks a few times. So there's but I was there when the opening scene of that movie with the puppet and Mr. Dr. Tongue and the alligator. I mean, to see this Fort Myers transformed into this apocalyptic zombie, it was like a nightmare dream come true for me. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. This is incredible. You knew that this was something amazing, even though the thing. But I have to admit to you that I hear you guys talk about splatter movies and stuff. I had grew up watching classic horror movies, and I saw my share of little bits of. But when I saw some of the dailies that were shot from Day, I mean, I thought I'd pass out. I had never seen. It was so far beyond anything that I had ever seen before as far as gore goes. I mean, Tom really did some amazing mastery of illusions with that stuff, and they really did incredible. And of course, many of the guys can be Nicotero and Howard Berger. Some of these guys rose to end up Everett Burrow. I mean, John Volek. These guys were incredible, and they were so young and so talented. Blew my mind to have a chance to work with them all. But what an amazing experience. Nothing bad to say about that experience at all. We were up at the crack of dawn. We worked really hard. The funny part was, I remember seeing they handed out paper bag lunches for all these zombies outside at the beach. We were filming it in Sanibel Island. And there's all these old people heading to the beach, and they come walking around the corner, and there's zombies, and they're all like, I wish I would have photographed these people trying to eat their lunches out of little sandwiches, all zombied out with this paper bag lunches, it was magical though. It really was. And, Tom was great to work with, and we
can only imagine.
It was great.
With him.
And, it's funny because I remember you just want to, you don't want to screw up, you just want to make sure that you're doing as good. But Tom would check things out and go, I like this, the way this is going. He complimented me. But one time a pretty girl came up to me. I'm, just a young guy. She's like, can I be a pretty zombie? And I'm like, well, I guess so. Somewhere along the line, Tom's like, whoa, who did this? Who did her makeup? I'm like, I did. And he's like, you got to make her look. And I looked at her. I'm like, I'm sorry, I got to make you ugly.
I've never seen a pretty zombie.
No, I know. I was just trying to be nice, but it's like, sorry, I really do have to ugly you up a little more here. So
that's funny. You tried. Good try, though, Barry.
I know.
A for effort.
A for effort.
Yeah, there you go. But it was great. It was a wonderful thing. And
were all those experiences very similar? Like, when you worked on Jeepers Creepers, is that
which was just on earlier too?
Yeah, we were just watching.
Yeah, we were watching it earlier.
Do you have a good experience?
It's a fun movie. It's not a perfect film, but it's a lot of fun. One of the big stars in that film is the truck, I think. I mean, my goodness, I love that. I was involved in that in a limited way. A friend of mine from Central Florida here, who was involved in film, he was part of the art department. He goes, "Hey, I'm working on this horror movie." Now, I had a full-time job at that time, but I was like, oh, I want to work. What is it? And I said, here, let me give you my resume and give it to the effects guys. And that's what happened. Well, all of a sudden, the effects team, Monsters and Makeup with Brian Patinkas, I actually had dealt with the art director regarding payment and stuff. But anyways, they said, yeah, we need help. So now I'm like, oh, great. I got to drop everything. How am I supposed to pull this off? No. And what they hired me to do is to help them with the creature's lair, which is the walls of they need body, they need more bodies.
Right.
And so that's really what I did. I had nothing to do with the creature. I wish I could but of course, everybody was promoting a convention or it's nice to have this credit and to have the poster and the T-shirt, but and some really talented people involved in that. But yeah, it was part. But you're a spoke in a big wheel on these bigger. I'm
Oh,
just a
absolutely.
spoke in a big wheel with
Right.
these bigger films. But still, to be involved in something like that and go to see the theater and go, wow, that was actually pretty darn good, Jesse
Yeah.
Long.
And I
Yeah.
did that,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah, because his layer was super cool. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
And
I feel
I really like the way that they slowly show you what this creature is. They didn't just throw it at you in the very beginning of the film. And I actually did some work for the second one, but what
Oh.
happened was they ended up, because the pre-production is way ahead of time, so it was stalled, and then Brian got in touch with me, and he wanted to hire me to help to recreate the creature's lair again and stuff. Well, then I thought they were coming back to Florida, which originally was what they were talking about. But then they changed things, probably, who knows, budget, whatever reasons that things changed. They changed the script. I made a bunch of stuff, and then it never ended up in the film. They cut everything out, and they never came to Florida. So now I had a whole bunch of stuff that I had to deal with, and that's, again, a lot of times, be prepared for disappointments in the film industry. I still take a credit that I worked on that film, but unfortunately, I got paid, but it's sad, that I was very disappointed when I found out they were coming back, because I would have been probably more involved had they come here again. But it is what it is, and just another notch in the belt, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What?
Well, then, can I talk about Hairspray?
Oh, she wants to talk about Hairspray.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, I like Hairspray. Well, because I think special effects is super cool, but I actually am like super into the other side of makeup. So I think Hairspray resonates slightly more with me. But yeah.
Well,
I like the big hair and the really cool, fun makeup. And
sure.
That's more me.
Well, again, I had a very little role there, but it was an amazing experience nonetheless. And I have a friend of mine out in California, Tim Heising. He works with Tony Gardner for Alterian Effects. It's in my resume here, but sorry guys.
No, you're fine.
It's a long
Alterian
resume.
Studios. Anyways,
Okay.
so he calls me up and says, "Hey, what are you doing? What have you been up to?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm busy working." And he goes, "We're coming your way. We want to know if you're available to help us with something." I'm like, "Sure, absolutely. What's going on?" And they're like, "Well, we're going to go see John Travolta." And
That's awesome.
yeah, so I got hired to join them, and we actually went to John Travolta's home.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I know, it was really cool. It was more of a compound, really, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
There was a jet
It's not-
aircraft parked behind his house.
Yeah, I actually, when I used to fly with a pilot who's very, very good friends with him, and he would tell me all about his compound and the jets and his life, and it was super cool to hear about.
You know what? He was really very, very charming and nice. And
what I've
we
heard.
put him through a really difficult day over at his house. I mean, we turned his garage, which was very nice, into a bit of an effects lab and we took castings off of him basically from head to toe throughout the day. And, this is a really grueling thing to go through. It really is hard. And a lot of times, nowadays, maybe with all the advanced digital stuff, they can scan an actor on a turntable or something and do stuff like this, and they some of that technology was going on for a while where they would lathe out something, but still left a tremendous amount of work for the effects people or the artists to have to hard coat and do all these things to it. But you need to have precision forms to create
Mm-hmm.
the sculptures on so that everything fits right, especially the head castings and stuff. So it was difficult for him, and we have to try to make him as comfortable as possible.
Right.
And but we worked diligently, and got to where we had to just talk to him, go, look, we're going to be putting this stuff. Nobody's real comfortable. Some people don't mind it so much, but a lot of people are very uncomfortable with having their entire heads cast, especially by a bunch of crazy effects guys that come around.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I've
but
had that. I don't like that either. It's very claustrophobic.
Oh,
yeah, yeah, it is. And so,
Yeah.
but ultimately we ended up casting, doing all of his body casts and his head castings, and we had to take and basically I end up arranging to ship all that stuff back over to Alterian. But those were important. There was a little tiny spoke in a huge wheel. But I got to work with John Travolta, and talk to him
That's
about his
so
projects, and
Yeah.
hang out and with him for the day, and that was really exciting. And he did an incredible job on that film.
Oh,
He
he
really
did.
did.
He
I mean,
did.
we were
Yeah.
talking about some other film that I was something about hogs. It was a motorcycle film
Hogs.
that
Oh, Wild
Tim
Hogs.
Allen.
Yeah. Wild
I forgot
Hogs.
what-
Yeah.
Wild Hog. He was
Yeah.
talking to me about that film while we were doing this, and I was looking at him going, how the hell he's going to be made to look like a woman, because he's just got this masculine face with the cleft chin and everything,
Yeah.
and and as a person like that, I've known, you've been watching him since Vinnie Barbarino, and
Absolutely.
you can't go all fan boy off.
Crazy. Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
maintain but the excitement when you see that person, sometimes it's hard to just go, oh my God, but I was like, okay, I got to stay professional, we can't be taking pictures and end up,
Right.
hey, we're going to take a picture of you after we pull all this crap off you. You look like you're, I end
Right.
up in the National Enquirer or something, So we had to, respect all these things that, we were going to be professional about it, but you just want to go, oh my God, you're John Travolta. Wow.
Like, I can't believe it.
One time when that film came out, I was flying to India for my other job that and I ended up getting a chance to go on to a film set in India, which was amazing. But the movie Hairspray came on the TV screen while I was on my
That's
flight.
cool.
And I was like, oh, because I hadn't seen it prior to that. So
Right.
there I was on this crazy ride to India, and I was supposed to bring this important businessman like some gifts, and I'm like, I don't know what to bring. So I was bringing him a DVD of Hairspray, because I'm like, well, they like musicals over there.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah.
And it's
Right.
got John Travolta, Michelle Pfeiffer, Zac
Oh,
Efron.
yeah.
It's got Amanda Bynes. That's some big names in it.
Yeah, I got
so-
a poster of it. I have some posters from the films in this
Oh
room.
my God.
There's a
Very cool.
Hairspray poster right
Have you
over
seen
there to the
Hairspray?
side.
Yeah, it's
It's been a long
good.
time. But
Yeah,
no,
it's
great.
super. Yeah, John Travolta embodies that character so well.
He really is. And just so it was such a pleasant experience being able
Right.
to just be a
Right.
little part of that, and
Right.
to see your name on the credit there, it's nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Feels good.
that's so cool.
You've done so much. Like we've talked about all your movies
Yeah.
past. And it's not just movies. You worked with Ripley's. You've done Howl-O-Scream. You
Halloween
worked
Horror
for the
Nights.
medical company, or was it medical company that you said?
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing that you've done
Yeah,
over all these years?
Wow, that's hard.
It's
I
hard.
like to do a lot of things that are fun.
Top five. Well, we got other stuff I want to talk about too, what you're doing
Okay.
now
Yeah.
Well,
But-
what's funny is
in the film
I
career.
obviously started off in B films. I love science fiction and stuff too, but nobody hired me to work on a science fiction movie here in Florida. So most of the stuff
Yeah.
was bloody stuff, I don't really, I'm not a big splatter guy, even though I made my living doing a lot of that stuff. I
Hmm.
mean, I've
Right.
literally dumped gallons of blood on people and stuff.
Well, yeah.
But
Sounds messy.
but something that happened a long time ago, an opportunity came my way, was I got hired when I was in Miami, down in South Florida, to work with the coroner's office down there,
Oh.
Miami-Dade coroner's office, to recreate crime scenes for a
Hmm.
forensic photography workshop
Wow.
where they were
Interesting.
training police officers. And I got involved with that, and I just found it so interesting because I like all that forensic stuff and
Uh-huh.
crime shows. And
Me
yeah,
too.
you talk about serial killers all the time. I know that
Oh,
you're into that. So yes, I
yes.
hear you talk about it. So I was really intrigued by that, and I got to meet blood spatter experts and anthropologists and so
Mm.
forth, medical examiners. And as when when some of the films were not getting better for me, I thought, you know what, I'm interested in this scientific stuff, and I took some forensic sculpting, facial reconstruction courses and stuff, and I started to find a little different niche, and
Mm.
ultimately I got hired to work for PBS, Secrets of the Dead,
Huh.
helping to recreate some mafia crime victims. I
Wow.
worked with the Discovery Channel,
Mhm.
making Eileen Wuornos crime
Uh-huh.
scene victims. I've got involved with the National Geographic recreating an Incan king mummy for a reenactment. And I got a
Wow.
chance to meet these scientists. They had a TV show called The Mummy Roadshow, and I was a fan of the show because I love history and anthropology, archaeology. I was always interested in these things. And I meet these professors from Quinnipiac University who came to see a mummy at Ripley's in the warehouse. And by chance, it's an incredible opportunity that happened. Sometimes it's unbelievable. I was making fake mummies, but because I was watching that show,
Mm.
and because Ripley's had all these crazy items around there. And when I met scientists who came to film an episode in the warehouse at Ripley's, I, offered to help them, and I came in on the weekend to help assist them, and I gave them a tour of the art department, and I brought some of my fake mummies, which my wife said, "Those are gross. Why are you making those things?" And I'm like, "I like this kind of stuff." Well, I showed them my fake mummies, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, these are incredible. Are you for hire?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah!" And they hired
Ugh.
me
Of
to make
course.
the Incan mummy, and
Oh
they
my
sent my mummy
goodness.
all the way to Peru, up into the high Andes mountains into Peru, where they have real mummies down there. But
Yeah.
in
Right.
this way, they were able to do this reenactment. Well, after that happened, I was so ecstatic and so thrilled to be able to get involved with that. But one of the scientists invited me to travel to Peru, all expenses paid, up into the high Andes mountains in the cloud forest and study real Chachapoyan mummies with
Oh,
a group
wow.
of scientists. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm the goofy art kid who slacked around in school growing
Oh
up,
my
working
gosh.
in B horror movies, and here I am up in this incredible paradise. It was a treacherous. This was a treacherous journey.
Yeah.
I've heard.
This is way off
Yeah.
the beaten
You're like
path
an
The
of
explorer
grit.
tourists.
now.
Yeah, it was
Oh my
incredible.
gosh. What
So
an experience.
yeah, and then it was an incredible experience. So that was one of the highlight in my life to get a chance to do that.
Wow.
I
But
would have to say yes.
Yeah.
I would
yeah,
vote yes for
but
that for sure.
amazingly, all of that interest turned into another whole career that where I got involved with medical training devices and
That's it. Yeah.
developing, very sophisticated and doing innovative work with. So I did 13 years involved with working with medical or government contracting companies
Mm.
with the military. So we were doing all kinds of. So I worked with surgeons and engineers and people with PhDs, and
Oh my
here I
gosh.
am, the artist guy. But because of all my background, they needed me. They sent me to cadaver. They actually sent me to cadaver class where I thought I was going to watch. Now that's the thing is fake is fun and easy. Going to the morgue is like, whoa,
Whole nother
I'm
story.
getting
Yeah.
dizzy. I feel lightheaded. But they sent me to cadaver class, and I thought I was just going to watch. And they were like, "Oh no, you're part of this class. You got to do
Oh.
You had to do this procedure. You're going to
Oh,
intubate
no.
this." They had a
Intubate,
cadaver
yeah.
open with the lungs exposed, and I had
Oh.
to intubate the lung. So, anyways, yeah. Ooh, gosh, I
You would've
got through
liked that.
But I
Yeah.
put that on my bucket list. Cross that off the bucket list. I did that.
Right.
So, but yeah, what an amazing.
You could have never
change.
thought that was when
That-
you were going
yeah.
in art school back then, where it was going to end up. Who would have thought?
I know. It's
In
incredible.
Peru with hanging out with mummies, going to cadaver school.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what an
Yeah, I
incredible.
mean, I did always had an interest in such things, but yeah, it's incredible how I'm not realizing at the time, but little by little, by just purely having an interest in certain things, it wasn't like I strategized this whole big change, but I knew I had to make some moves to try to find a niche for myself, and it worked. It panned out
you
for
did.
me.
Yeah.
You did.
Did you ever get to go to the Science Center when they had the mummy exhibit here?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wasn't that incredible?
Oh, it was. Yeah,
Oh
sure.
my goodness. Did you get, you didn't get to
I
do
didn't
that.
get to go. No.
It was so interesting
was
and
good.
incredible to see the different mummies for like the different time periods all
Yeah.
over the world. And then
Yep.
you realize how short these people were.
Like, I brought measuring tape. I'm gonna. Yep, they are really short.
Well, some of them had the measurements on there. Like there was a guy that was like 4 something. I'm like, I'm 5'9". I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a giant compared to these people.
Well,
But
if you go to St. Augustine, some of those old houses, the doorway is like
Oh, so
4
short,
feet.
right?
You're gonna hit
Yeah.
your forehead if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not careful. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, people were smaller then, but yeah,
it was incredible
it's
to see.
interesting for sure.
Yeah.
you know.
I hope they bring it back. I'm like, that would be so cool to see again. All right, what you got?
I got one more.
Okay, one more.
With everything you've done and all your wisdom, and any advice for anybody wanting to get into special effects makeup and into the industry, everything you've done,
Sure.
some words of wisdom, I guess.
Okay. Well, of course, so much has changed since I'm old school guy. I am a practical effects guy. Work with clay and plaster, and so a lot of technology is happening. I got a little discouraged. Boy, all you got to do is click a few buttons, and AI will make a masterpiece for you.
Yep.
Right.
And people are doing sculpting on a computer and printing it out on a 3D printer. Technology is here, and I am old school, and I'm outdated when it comes to that. But sometimes the one thing that I do tell people is you might not just instantly get the dream job that you wanted. But if you have an idea of what it is that you want to do, try to find jobs that are in a realm where you can learn from. For instance, I got a job in a factory when I was a young guy as a mold maker, a master mold maker's assistant. Now, this job was not a fun job in any way, but I learned how to make castings and molds from my own sculptures from doing that, having that job. And that information, this is where I really got my education was, I worked as a painter, a canvas painter for a big art studio, so if you have anything that you're interested in, you got to work hard to make it happen. If you want to be a writer, you got to start writing, and don't let people discourage you. Because I'll tell you what, I remember telling some of my old friends, hey, I want to go do that. And they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Go to art school. Why would you want to do that? Just hang, hey, because they didn't have any ambitions, but
Yeah.
don't let people discourage you. Just, but you gotta think things in a realistic way, but you can plan out, just find your niche of something that you have a passion for, and then start to really look into how you can get into doing that, whether it's by learning online, whether it's by going to a school for that. But one of the things is if you make friends with people who are doing something, I've worked as an assistant on many things, which opened up a huge door for me. But you have to be, as Dean said to me years ago, I'm like, I'll be your assistant if you need, he's like, well, you got to be reliable. If I need you there at 6:30 in the morning, you got to be there at 6:30 in the morning. And at the age of 23, I'd be like, no, I can't go out tonight. I got to meet Dean in the morning. And I was there at 6:30 in the morning, ready to go. And that is the thing. You have to, as I teach my son, you got to be a man of your word. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, you got to do it.
Yep.
So reliability,
Absolutely.
Don't get into, if you get in, things that can stop you from your dream is drugs, alcohol, and making bad decisions. Everybody makes some bad decisions. If you keep repeating those bad things, then your life may never go in the direction that you want. But you can plot out things. And one of the things that I think has really made a difference for me, somehow it gets into my subconscious, is that I write down my goals on paper. Now, you can do whatever you want, put it on your computer screen if you want, but I'll write down short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. And I will, every year, I put the year on there. Sometimes I got to change the year at the top. I didn't get all those done. But I will cross off those things one thing at a time. So I do continuously create goals for myself. And that is it's been a changer for me, I think, by seeing it in writing, the process of writing it down. It kind of clicks in there, and then I go back and just look at that list every so often and go, yeah, I still got to, get around to that, doing that. And I'll tell you what, it helps me to accomplish things. So
yeah, it does. Things
maybe
come to
that'll help.
fruition.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Not everybody's going to be the biggest pop star in the world, but you can still be a singer. You can still be, go with just start from the beginning and follow your way up and try to do it in a decent way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great.
That's good advice. That's great advice.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Barry, for coming out and joining us. I think we could talk for hours. It's very fascinating. You have so much to
I'll
talk
be back.
About. You've done.
Yes.
Well, I think when you have your book, when you write your book, I'd love to have you back.
We'll do a paranormal.
Or some more. We'll just talk some more about we'll do a paranormal night or something like that too. That'd be great if you want to do that.
Well, whatever. I just really enjoyed being here with you guys.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Love the show. You are so much fun. And I learned all about these really interesting films that I need to see more. But yes, it has been a great pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody joining us on the Horror Comedy Hangout podcast. You can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on any audio streaming platform. Please like and subscribe. We need the subscribers, don't we?
Yeah, we need subscribers.
The likes, so please. And I comment on everything. People.
Yes, you do. So. It's actually Chris commenting on everything.
I comment to everybody that comments. And once again, you're amazing, Barry. Thank you. I'm happy that I know you, and you've had an amazing career. And thank you for joining us.
Yes.